stop. D, E minor, F, C, D, G, D, F, got it. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember D? Good. You got anything? G? 'Cause I must be traveling on now. F? There's too many places I've been to see. All over again, G. But if I stay here, got it. Yep. Things just couldn't be the same. That's okay. That was a weird little diversion on the D, which is a good place to stop because I was going to run out of words.
Good, I'm glad, because now I've done back-to-back embarrassing play-alongs.
Was the last play along like at the first camp?
That's 4
years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is about how long since I picked up the guitar. Wow.
No, I saw you pick it up yesterday for 14 seconds.
14 seconds.
Yeah.
But did you see I was actually fingerpicking in that? I felt more comfortable doing that than changing chords between basic.
That's pretty good though, because you're able to keep a good the rhythm going and stuff like that.
It's so sad, isn't it? Like you see the progression of so many students, like we did last night.
Yeah.
You go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just...
We were watching. So it's June 4th, Sunday morning.
Uh-huh.
I've got my esteemed business partner and longtime friend Matt here, who I haven't seen in a couple of years. But that was like an hour in Florida. We had lunch in Tampa.
Yeah.
And it was really 4 years since we had the first camp when you were last year in Northern California.
We talk all the time, of course.
Yeah.
But it's been hard with the travel and everything that's been going on.
Yeah. When I think about what you end up doing, where you end up going and stuff like that, well, my knees hurt. The idea of getting on a plane and going someplace, being on a plane for 8 hours is like, I'm not going to be ready for that till maybe next summer.
I know, it's been, even this year, 6 months in, I've been to Poland, France, England, England again, Australia, Tasmania of all places, the bottom of the earth kind of thing.
That sounds like fun.
See how I wrote.
I hope to get there next summer.
Yeah.
I think Europe is my first plan though.
Ran a half marathon, up here of course, Tampa.
Yeah.
And that's probably half the travel I could have pulled together. Anyway, so it's unbelievable. It's morning, so I feel like dirt and...
Wait, you just had a shower, you're feeling good.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about, we've had a short but fun time. We sat for hours last night and watched videos all the way back to the live event that we
April
watched.
26th, I think we determined it was, 2009.
Yeah, I was reminiscing. I mean, it was, I was thinking about, like, YouTube was fledgling. It was only... hadn't really gotten that much traction. Live webinars, seminars were brand new.
Yeah.
Like there was no one really doing them.
It's tough going from we were cutting edge and now we're like, old news.
We're like a Ford T. With the TG existed then and now because open source software allowed us to build the site. Now, of course, the needle's moved on and we've had to band-aid the site to get... In fact, it's like a fight every week.
Right.
Technically, because this content is so voluminous and replacing the site is probably one of the logistically most difficult things you could ever do.
To port over the thousands of hours of stuff and keep it organized.
It's not just that. What happens is we lose all our traction in the web, in Google, and then how do we keep the community, and then how do we keep the flow. Like if people are in payment plans and so on, it breaks everything. It breaks absolutely everything. So it's just been a battle, but we chip away slowly at improving things, and we kind of we've got a new site that we work on in the background, and we try and fix things there first before we
Beta
so
testing kind of.
the DVD page
Oh, yeah.
was an example of that.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then what else did we do? We listened to records. Where the first night I was here, we threw on Ice House,
Oh yeah.
the Australian band, who are touring their 40th in Australia. They've been doing an Australian tour, 40th anniversary for performing live. And I was telling Neil that I was in LA last week, Los Angeles, where I live, and Midnight Oil played, and they're doing a global tour, and they're sold out, and they're like killing it. And Midnight Oil haven't toured for 13 years or something because their lead singer Peter Garrett got into politics,
right? Yeah.
and ended up being the Minister for Environment, and then Education, which was his two passions, right? I mean, they sung about that. They were like the political band.
Yeah.
There's such a force when you watch them. They're raw, powerful, but the lyrics are meaningful, and of course they write unbelievably great hooks.
Yeah. Great tunes. Yeah.
So it's been fun. And then this morning, Neil last night he said, "So what time do you want to get up?" I said, "I don't want to be late, so I'm going to set my alarm. But if you want to get us up," and he goes, "Okay, I'll make sure you're up." And then all of a sudden this morning, I
said like 8:30, right? I said I gave it till 8:30. I said, and we went to bed about 11:30 or 12. So
yeah. But I was awake, and so I did the moment. It was like 2 bars into the music that Neil was piping into the room, pretty loud. I knew straight away was prog rock. Yeah, there you go.
That was the opening. The very first thing we hear is Peter Gabriel sing that. Can you tell me where my country lies? Said the uniform to his true love's eyes. Anyway, something like that. Now people probably know what that is.
Yeah.
They probably recognize it.
And I was telling him that, like, because he thinks Phil Collins ruined.
No.
That's what you said. Come on.
No. They had to change their sound.
They
still made 2
throwing you under the
progressive
bus.
albums without Peter Gabriel. Trick of the Tail and Wind and Wuthering still had good stuff on them.
I think it was 86 or something. Genesis launched their Get Back Together album, and the last track on the album was.
We haven't tracked it down yet. I can't remember what it is either now.
It's called something Home or something, and it's like 12
Wait,
minutes
this
long.
wasn't the Seaside one, was it? That was on Wind and Wuthering, I think, or Down by the Sea or something.
No, this is like in the 80s, and that song was like a harken back to their prog rock days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of and then I bought the live CD, and this is what I was saying, on the live CD they played some of that
Some of the
stuff,
old stuff, huh?
And that's when I discovered all the old stuff. And that's that's in the 80s before I met you, right? So, in a way, that helped me go back, and I think a lot of other people potentially.
Yeah.
And then of course he had to play me Camel because we were talking about Camel yesterday in the car.
And I think a while ago I put a post up that had that song on it. Lady Fantasy is what if anybody. If you want to hear what Camel sounds like, dig up the video for Lady Fantasy. It's a perfect example of their song. It's like a 10 or 15-minute song. Opens up with a great guitar lick, goes through about 7 different complete iterations of different things. Jazzy stuff and rocky stuff and hectic stuff, and then it comes back with this great theme. Something like that.
Yeah,
I should learn this stuff before I try to play it. But
no, you're good enough to just do that. And we listened to Neil playing with Al Stewart live in Talbot.
Yeah.
That was really cool because you gave me that album. I think it was the first year we met, and I listened to it a dozen times because I love the back and forth banter and.
Yeah, I should make some of those. I keep thinking of making those all available, like to TG members. I've got 8 or 9 years worth of Montalvo shows with different people. Starting with John Renborn and Lawrence Juber and Al Stewart and
maybe we could do that as a Christmas gift. So if you're a member, we might pull up a little gift for you for hanging with us.
A compilation of
for all of our
founding members. No, even non-founders.
Yeah, I mean anybody who's a target member and they're monthly. I think. However that.
Sure, we could make that. Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
And I actually did go through them many years ago. A couple of years ago, I started going through them and listening to them to see what I thought was presentable and what I thought wasn't. And I thought, well, the stuff with Al is really cool because bantering with him on stage is just really fun because he's so loose.
And of course, this guy just picks it up, knows the songs better than him, and so on.
That was one of the songs that we listened to last night, a song of Al's called House of Clocks, where I totally missed the entrance of the lead, like halfway through. He sings a couple verses. And Al doesn't even notice. He doesn't care. You know, it's like he goes on with the song, and I finally pick up the lead halfway through. And then we finished the song, and he goes, "Oh, that was really fun." And I said, "Yeah, it would have been better if the lead guitar player had played his stuff right." And he goes, "Really? You missed it or something?" I said, "Yeah, that part that goes." And he made me play it again. It's like we went back to that part of the song. He says, "Oh, well, let's go back and do it." And we did it like 3 times, or maybe at least 2 or 3 times, because he insisted that I get it right after I pointed out that I'd screwed it up.
And it was super. And you nailed it, of course. So just one last thing on prog rock. If you follow, even though I've been to a couple of concerts recently, LA is the home of music, right? There's so much live stuff there. It's amazing. The accessibility. And so I've been to a couple of concerts, and then I started looking at who's coming, and I saw that King Crimson are playing, and then I looked and saw that the Doobie Brothers and also Chicago and of course who else?
Oh, the Moody Blues. Those are all shows that are happening here too.
They're coming here and down there. So what if you can get out and see them live? Wow. Because I mean, how many more times are you going to have a shot? Maybe
they're getting old.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of which, something I didn't mention last week. Oh, I didn't do a news thing last week, but since last week we lost Greg Allman too, and that was certainly didn't see that coming. They kept that pretty quiet. They said he'd had this cancer for like 5 years.
And I'd never really people. I'm silent on the site obviously these days mostly, but I watch and I listen and so on. But I'm definitely not into music. So in other words, I am. And I didn't really know the Allman Brothers music very well because I wasn't I wasn't in the US, and secondly, it wasn't my era. So you combine those two things, the internet didn't exist back then and whatever. But I discovered them in a really strange way. I was watching Crossroads from 2007, and there was this ponytail guitar player who played on stage with every single band.
Right.
He was like the player.
Yeah.
And it turns
out... he was young.
Yeah, and this guy apparently grew up with the Allman Brothers, and he's famous for slide guitar.
Yeah.
Right?
You remember who it is? Do you
his
remember
name
his name?
Currently escapes me. His second.
Derek Trucks.
Derek Trucks, that's it.
Yeah.
And so they interviewed him in the live thing every now and then I'd see him play, and he played with some of the people that I just fell in love with. And so that's how I went retrospectively back.
Right, and he was, of course, the nephew of Butch Trucks, I believe. It wasn't his son, but who was the drummer.
I've never heard of him, but yeah. Of course.
Well, he was the drummer for the Allman Brothers for years.
God.
So that was his tie-in to the Allman Brothers. He was related. Right. He was Butch's nephew, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And who also died recently, Butch.
These people are dropping off like flies.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. Many of them lived this long when they were going through life in the 60s and 70s.
So I want to get to you in a second, but I just want to point out that we were kind of reflecting in general about TG and its existence. We're coming up to 10 years that Neil and I met each other. And what year did TG launch?
Well, we had the official target. You know what? We started in the fall of 2008 with putting up stuff at YouTube.
Yeah.
And just and then having half a lesson at YouTube and the other half at TG, and people would if they want to see the second half of the lesson, they would sign up. And over that 6 or 8 months up until April, I was putting together target lessons, and they were kind of like the top secret thing that we blasted them with at that first 5.5 hour webinar. I'm sure many of you remember it. I've referred to it a few times at various times, and it's all still available at the site. A little harder to find than I thought, but we did find it last night.
There's a link on the far bottom left. That's how I figured.
Oh, okay.
The menu.
I knew there was a link. That's another. I knew there'd been links too, because
we just kept adding new stuff. Because
we did like 15 of those over a couple of years. Sometimes it was like every other week for a little while.
That were fun. Mostly because you would people would say play this, and you just play it, and I just get it. And every now and then I'd throw in my own. Such and such imaginary person just asked you to play that. It was actually me asking you.
Right.
I didn't tell you that, did I? No. So the site's been a part of our lives since then, and all the community, and then the friendships and so on. And it's really Neil's thing. The guitar camp especially is like the pinnacle of that. And
that has turned into just so much fun. I can't believe it, you know.
Yeah.
And when you first said, "Oh, we're going to do a camp," I'm thinking you are out of your freaking mind, you know.
I know.
But it worked out, you know, and it evolved over the years. We're coming up on our 5th one. There's still room, by the way, for anybody who wants to join us at Asilomar. And
yeah, and look,
is a blast.
I reached out to a couple of people. I won't name names, but you know, I still am connected to a bunch of people fairly consistently. Just because it was early days and they were just lovely people. Not everybody likes everybody, but I really do like this community, and there's some standout people that obviously for me, but also for Neil. I reached out to a couple of them last night to tell them, I saw them playing and all those years ago or whatever. And we pulled up what are those videos where everybody...
The open mic stuff?
No, not from the
camp.
Oh,
some of the class... Oh, not from camp.
When they would send a video playing a certain piece to the song and then they'd edit it together.
Yeah, the collaborations.
Collaborations.
Right. And those are still happening.
Yeah.
You know?
So more collaborations because we love them because they're almost produced to another level.
And,
right?
at that we have to have a special nod, even though we try not to mention names, a special nod to the Time Zone Zombies because they have taken the collaboration thing to an extreme, and they've brought in other people. All of a sudden, Sandy's playing with them, and Karina's playing with them, and Chris is playing with. I think Anyway, so it's
pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I hope to catch up with a few of you guys offshore in Europe when I'm there in a couple of months' time, so pretty significant kind of impact on our lives, and obviously you more, but for me from a distance. But here's the thing, TG. For me, became almost a musical journey for me because I'd not been exposed to most of your catalog.
Right.
And we were talking yesterday in the car. When my dad died, I was left his album collection, right? And his album collection consisted of Sky, Roberta Flack,
the Carpenters.
Carpenters, early Genesis. Dire Straits, the very first album, Sultans of Swing, which was the first FM-friendly song in Australia. It was actually the first song played on FM radio in Australia.
Was it?
Swing, yeah.
Wow.
And so that was my exposure. So in a way, Cat Stevens was another album he had. Yeah. Leo Kottke. So those people I was exposed to, but I never really knew that other... you grow up and I listened to the 80s music and then the 90s grunge and then God forbid techno and dance and then electronica, which is a whole big branch in itself.
Yeah.
But then I started to go back, right, to stuff because it was being reintroduced. Yeah.
Interesting conversation we had yesterday.
When
somebody a little younger than us
said,
I didn't know that was a Beatles tune.
Right.
I didn't know Wings was a band. It's like, oh yeah, we had to do a little musical education over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
Wings is an interesting one because I really hadn't listened to the Beatles at all really either. But my dad had a Wings album.
Right. I remember that was the other band. Yeah.
And so I went back. But I was 12. I remember 12 at the time listening to Wings, and it was my favorite band. And, we were talking about the lyrical content not necessarily being the power that the Beatles
Sometimes
have.
it's kind of lighthearted.
But I love the hooks and so on and whatever. And so anyway, so in a way it's touched me in a different way. I feel like, thank God, I've discovered music because of you and your catalogue. And
well, I remember, and I'm sure I've told this story before too, but just when you... I've told people the story of you, you walking into my music store before. I'm sure I'll install up on the site.
It's kind of a boring story.
But the whole thing of, just trying to, let's make some video lessons, or let me have, Neil go try to make some video lessons, was like, you got to be kidding me. It's like, how could I do on video what I do with a student? And, but I do remember thinking that this would be a fun project just to have my own little personal scrapbook of lessons. Now the personal scrapbook has branched out into, at least 1,000 lessons, and probably 500 of which I maybe never actually taught a student over the years, but it's like, oh, here's a cool song, let's do a lesson on it,
Yeah, and then having Vanessa join us,
that was great.
I think that was a good call, I have to say.
Oh, no.
And then Max Rich recently, so Max is down in LA and he's come over to my home, I don't know, dozens and dozens of times, and we've played around. I actually got decent, but not decent, not like you did guys decent, but I got decent at playing about 2 years ago because he came over twice a month. And so I started to play some pretty, you know, I'd say middle of the road difficulty songs.
Yeah.
And then I started a new company, and of course the guitar went away.
Went back into the closet.
Yeah,
under the bed.
and it didn't come out. In fact, I saw the guitar one of them for the first time when I packed up my house 2 weeks ago.
Oh, right.
So
forgot I even had it or where it was, right?
Yeah, and that's sad in a way. But I don't stop listening to music, and I don't stop appreciating the people on the site. And it's so amazing to watch you guys progress from where, you know, if you look back year by year, you can see this crazy progression. And it's insane how good you guys are. And, you know, the challenge for us is actually coming up with new music to put on there.
Yeah.
And if you look at my phone, like I listen to really eclectic stuff, including new stuff. I'm always listening to new stuff. And believe it or not, there's an amazing amount of great new music in kind of the stuff that we kind of love. It's just harder to find, right?
Because there's so much out there. That's the thing. It's like, how do you...
Yeah, and it's not getting heard because there's no real significant channel and so on.
Yeah.
And but it's there. I was just saying that there's a new album out by... Damn, now I've forgotten the name of the band. Last night we remembered. We've done one lesson. It's a bunch of acoustic guitar guys, and they have this kind of like it's almost like an Irish sounding vocally thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get it.
Yeah, it'll come to me. But yeah, so they've just and of course it's all acoustic guitar finger picking and beautifully arranged compositions and interesting singing, and so there's stuff still being made, you know.
Yeah.
It's just harder to find. So we try and dig stuff up, and Vanessa and generally we post, hey, could you do a pop song or whatever.
Right.
She's now coming up with her own ideas pretty consistently.
She is doing great songs, and you know, I'd have to say of the last 6 she's done, I hadn't heard of at least 5 of them. You know, and so it's the guy from One Direction that she did last week.
Yeah, One Direction, exactly.
Now,
and Max Rich is touring. He's playing live to some pretty decent sized audiences in a touring band. So he's playing 2-3 times a week. He's so sharp, and he's playing everything from Stevie Wonder to original compositions. And he's kind of on the cutting edge of new music as well, because he's interacting with live audiences. He's playing with a Gen X singer and so on. So we'll keep up the volume. Now let's talk about you for a second. So you've been through some pretty significant challenges.
I'm feeling like I'm on really a sabbatical now, and I think I've apologized to most of the audience, but I also really appreciate the support and the votes of confidence that I'm getting, because I was hoping to do a little bit more, but here we are a week away from my second surgery, and it's like, I think this is going to be just another 6 weeks of not much guitar playing. Partly because I can't sit even like this. We should be thinking about wrapping this up too, because
it's hurting.
Because it's starting to hurt. Let me stretch it out a little bit.
But is the right knee hurting? That's the question.
Well, something that's really interesting. I think I told some of the audience this story a while ago, but I was just thinking, if I'm going to get my knees done, I need them both done. And I thought, I'll just do them both at the same time. What the heck? And figure that the recovery would and that it would take like 12 weeks to recover or something. And so when I talked to the surgeon who did my wife's hip about it, he said, yes, I'll do it, but I'm going to talk you out of it. And he says, because you'll be way better off if we do them 6 weeks apart. He says, because then you'll have one good leg to get around on while the other one's healing. And the first time I tried to get up, like the day after surgery, I was thinking, oh my God, or the Wednesday, the surgery was on Monday, when I thought, if I had them both done, I'd have to spend a week in the hospital, like rehabbing. You couldn't get up. It's like I'd have to have people around helping me get up and move and things like that. And then over the first couple of weeks, it's like the unrepaired knee, the right one, really held up while the left one was healing. And just over the last week, the right one is really starting to hurt, and the left one is feeling like it's the strong one now, and it's the one that's going to carry me next week when I have the surgery again. So his advice was brilliant, and So I'm really feeling optimistic, except now that it's 5 weeks after the first one, I've kind of put out of my head how painful the first week was. But I'll find that out again in a week.
I think you'll handle it better because you just conditioned to it, and plus you just
Maybe, you know.
You're on top of it, mate.
Well, I think a lot of what helped, and I spent a lot of time getting my quads in really good shape. You know, biking up hills for 4 or 5 times a week, and that's huge because the people that helped me with PT and stuff say, "Man, you're doing way better than we could have asked." So.
No, he's awesome. So I don't want to wrap it up just a second because there's a couple of things I want to say.
All right.
So what an amazing man, and I just want to send you the biggest thank you to the forum, to the members for just being a little patient. When he comes back, you know, we've got some stuff planned. He's going to get back to some pretty big productivity. There's always going to be new lessons, of course, because we've got Max and Vanessa kind of covering for us, and thank you guys for that. I want to mention that if you are a TG member, stick with us because we're coming up to the 10-year anniversary of us meeting, and then the 10-year anniversary of the website will be next year, right?
Yeah, well, we really just passed the 8th of the Target program.
Yeah.
And it sort of went uneventfully, you know, because all of a sudden it was the beginning of May. It was my surgery day or something. I kind of thought, I didn't even mention 8 years of Target.
Pretty amazing.
But, yeah.
So we'll start celebrating some of that. We, if you don't mind, my company started working with an artist called Kai Ahrens. You can go and check him out at kaiahrens.com. KIIARENS.com. The interesting thing about Kai is he's become one of the preeminent artists for musicians. He's worked with everybody from Bowie to he's doing something with Metallica right now, and everybody in between. Just an amazing guy. He's a musician and so on. And we're going to be integrating some of Kai's art into the site, but I've also started him on coming up with a new TG logo. This one.
It's a little plain.
This one is
but I've got 20 shirts that have that on it. You say I got to throw them away.
No, I think we'll
they're
auction
collectors
them off. They'll be vintage.
Oh, okay.
And then also I'm having him do like a portrait kind of image of Neil. And so for you Target guys, probably going to get a signed copy off to you for free once it's done and printed, just as a little gift. So check Kai Ahrens out. He's fast. If you love music, and here's the reason I brought it up, because this morning Neil pulls out 2 Camel albums with 2 different covers, and he explains that one cover.
There were 2 different albums. Their first and second album.
Right, but one cover was banned here in the US.
Right, because it was the second album, Mirage, that was a takeoff on Camel Cigarettes cover that I'm sure many of you older people remember, the Camel in the Desert thing. So, but the copy I had was a UK copy where that was not a trademark problem.
Right.
You know.
And so Neil mentioned, the art of album art has kind of gone away. But what's happened is there's been a massive resurgence in poster art. And Kai is at the leading edge of doing that. If you check out his stuff, you'll see. Like he did the Rock in the Desert or whatever. This year, Led Zeppelin are reforming. He's doing that.
Right.
He did a Rolling Stones piece that was at an exhibition where it was in the desert and the tongue had like prickles from a cactus. It was just an amazing little subtle tweak, but it looked terrific. And so he's doing that poster art, and so bringing that back, and so that's what So and we're gonna do some stuff with him and with TG, and hopefully, brighten your life a little that way. So let's finish up. Is there any last words that you have?
That would require kind of planning and stuff like that, which I'm not very good at.
No,
scripting.
I just want to say hi to the pirates out there.
Yeah.
And all of the people who gave me hell early on when I needed to tighten things up a little.
Start going down memory lane here.
The site's just you guys and Neil and Vanessa and that's what it is. And I just so grateful.
Me too. I mean, it's turned down to I do have to tell a story that I don't think I've ever told a TG thing because it relates to my son Corey's 3rd grade teacher. And this was now over 20 years ago. She said, whatever's going to happen, whatever Corey's going to be doing for a job does not exist right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's absolutely true, because he's, of course, working in internet marketing. The kind of ironic thing is that same thing is true of me. What I'm doing now didn't exist when she said that to my third grade son, you know, and all of this is you know, thanks to you, really, for, you know, just
you drove it. The bionic man here is going to live for another 50 years, so God knows, it will all be wearing like those virtual reality headsets, which I've played around with a little. And you'll be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
In a world. People will be in the cabin with you. Right.
So we'll have all these hologram or something, right? You know?
And there'll be biofeedback machines that'll shock you if you don't land your G chord the right way and stuff, like me.
Well, do you want to play anything else? Or should I play something?
Do you want to play anything else while I sit and listen to your brilliance?
Sure.
And I bang your guitar for the
any
third
requests?
time?
God, I don't know. I mean, you know, oddly enough, and I may have mentioned this, I still have a little bit of numbness in like various parts of my body, but even my left hand fingertips are feeling a little affected. I maybe should talk to the doctor about
I'm all about opening riffs, and I'm trying to think of John Fogerty.
John Fogerty riffs?
Yeah. What's the best John Fogerty riff that you can remember? No. Keep going. No. But that's a great one, but that's not it. And that's the one I hate the most. That's the most popular song I hate it.
Or did I find another one you hate?
That one's okay, but...
That one's okay?
I just had...
Oh, I know what it is.
Yes.
It's not this.
No.
And it wasn't a Creedence song. It was one of his first songs post-Creedence, right?
Now, how good's that, right? Who picked it? I just love it.
That is one of the greatest tunes
Just love
of
it.
all time.
And I met the drummer who tours with him, and he's like... You can Wikipedia him. He's kind of like the drummer of drummers, and he played at the Beatles reunion, and he was on the first John Mellencamp album and tours with John Mellencamp.
Yeah.
Or John Mellencamp Jr. or whatever his name is this week.
I think it's still just John Mellencamp.
Yeah. Okay.
He finally, you know, the record company made him go with something catchier, with the Cougar thing. You know, but I think once he had enough success, he could say, no, we're not doing that. We're going with my real name.
Yeah,
you know?
So I love opening riffs, because you can often tell the song after the first chord if your ear's tuned to the song.
Here's another one of his that I think I've done lessons on this. And they're all really simple, you know, but musically, but they're hooks. They just
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the other great hook writer is obviously Brain. See, Coffee, Brain.
Yeah.
Coffee, Brain. Rolling Stones. Right.
Oh, Keith Richards.
And even more simple.
Yeah. He used the advantage of an open G tuning that came up with these little bluesy riffs that were very unique and original, even though they were kind of blues based and stuff. You know.
When Start Me Up, because I really got into the Stones, and Start Me Up came up. Everybody knows that Windows bought it so that it could launch its Windows, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. That's such a simple thing, but it's so powerful.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm kind of into the opening few notes to see what's going to come next. Yeah. See, that's not one I like.
I know. I knew. I played that to annoy you.
I know. We've already had this discussion because he was playing like dissonant stuff from like Camel.
The stuff
and
you didn't like this morning was Close to the Edge.
Yeah.
The beginning of Yes is.
Did not like it. At
Yeah.
all. I'm sorry.
But
it's just noise.
What else? So we did Genesis and we did Camel and Yes this morning. But the Yes tune got better. It's the first 3 minutes of chaotic.
Do you know how to play the bit from Genesis from that second to last tune that
the one that Phil Collins sang? No.
No.
The lawnmower one.
Almost sounds like Gilmore's tone.
It's really pretty. It's, I think it's the one. I think we're talking about the same song as one called "I Know What I Like."
I know what I like.
I know what I like.
But
and
that
I like
part
what
in the middle where it's all atmospheric and
I'd have to go listen to it.
Goodness, what a.
There's some
So
great
now
stuff
go off and listen to your
Go listen to Selling
Genesis
England by the
records.
Pound, even though the album Matt really liked of theirs was the next one.
The next
Lies
one
Down
I
on
fell
Broadway.
in love with. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so.
Wow.
Okay. let's we got to get something to eat and get you off to the airport.
Lucky for you, I don't have to be on any more of these for a while, so you won't have to listen to my garbage.
No,
Stick to this guy; he's gonna take you places.
Well, yeah. Anyway, thanks for bearing with us, and I hope this was fun. It was fun for me. You know, it was just great to see you, and
As always, love you, brother.
Appreciate everything. So.
The last thing I'll say is that I just laughed out loud as I walked out to the cabin, because remember, I watched the cabin being built I remember when we thought about it. You found them; it was being built, and it's become this thing. I've taken lessons here. We've done live stuff here. You put I don't know how many students through here as well.
Yeah.
But as I walked out, he's got his wardrobe set outside, which is like 100 Hawaiian shirts all hanging up, ready to go.
Yeah.
I just laughed out loud when I saw that. I thought, God, production gone up.
Yeah. Keep the shirts outside, you know, so I don't.
All we need is the makeup guy or gal, and away we go. He was doing his hair in the mirror this morning as well before we get going. I'm saying, look at my hair, it's a disaster.
It's a bad hair day for all of us, I think.
Yeah,
so.
Namaste, everyone.
Okay, signing off.
Cheers.